You're watching Spirit Spotlight.
Hey everybody, this is Austin Sumwitz with WNEM TV5 Sports, and welcome to the Spirit Spotlight, where we zone in on everything Saginaw Spirit hockey. Once again, joined by Dylan Clark of the Spirit. The guys just came back from a long road weekend. They got 2 points out of it right now. Talk to me kind of just coming out of that week where the Spirit are kind of sitting right now.
Yeah, this was a long trip. We put over 1,100 miles on the bus coming back. A full round trip. It was a lot of travel. It's the longest trip of the year that we take. Picked up a really exciting win on Thursday against the Peterborough Petes. Stepan Sturgeon, probably the biggest story from that game. 48 saves, new career high for him. He was fantastic. He's kind of found a new gear here as of late for the Spirit. He smashed his previous career high that he set in the game before that. So he's finding a groove here, and it's a good time for it. This team's 7-6 since the holiday break, and slowly but surely moving the way back up. We're in 7th now after being in 8th for the last little while. So I think that's probably the biggest positive to take out of the weekend was his performance in net against Peterborough.
I mean, talk to me about just like when you get to call his game, call him like in front of the net and everything like that. We've talked about just the circus saves it feels like this guy makes, and just like how have you just seen him just find his role here like game after game, because it just seems like it's been so fun to watch, and he's been one of the huge highlights of this team.
Yeah, well, yeah, and especially after, it was a little bit of a difficult start for him at the start of the year. And again, just with that, his numbers might not reflect kind of he's a top 5 goaltender in this league, and you see that more and more as we watch him play. Just got named to NHL Central Scouting's midterm report, 17th goaltender in North America right now. So to see him grow and really get used to, people forget it's an adjustment coming over from Russia. They play on the Olympic size ice over in the MHL. So for a goaltender, as you're trying to kind of get your bearings, the markings on the ice are a little bit further apart, and the way the plays come together, it develops a little bit differently. So you've got to kind of adjust to the game speed and the way things flow that way. He's found his comfort here, and it's really allowed him to showcase his talents, and coupled with the fact that he's 6'5". I mean, he's got the frame and the athleticism to really do a solid job of work night in and night out. I mean, nobody's played more minutes or made more saves in the OHL than Stepan Sturgeon has. So he's the busiest guy in the blue paint in the OHL, and I know that guys have that extra sense of confidence back there that sometimes whenever things do break down, he's going to be there to bail them out more often than not.
And like you said, the Spirit currently sitting in 7th place. They were in 6th for a moment, and they're kind of just bouncing around in that area as they try to chase after that 6th seed. Kind of like, what kind of fight have you seen out of them just trying to make sure they continue to maintain that goal of getting that playoff seeding? Yeah,
it's that's kind of the line that's been drawn in the sand, so to speak, from Chris Lazary, is that when this team was in 8th at the break, it hadn't been playing its best hockey, but the mark was let's get into 6th place and then see what we can do in the playoffs from there. So I think that having that goal, it's just a little bit uncomfortable. It's a little bit ahead of where they are right now, but it's reasonable and it's manageable. And I think when you're setting goals for a team that's kind of got a foot in both camps, like on the one hand, they're focusing on making sure the 16 and 17-year-olds get their playing time and develop as rapidly as they can. Think about guys like Drew Roscoe and Ryan Hanrahan, Jensen Geldart. But at the same time, being competitive and still picking up wins and trying to make headway in a tough Western Conference this year. They're in a really unique and I think really fun spot right now, because they're kind of pulling off both right now. So the tail end of that road trip, tough game in Kingston, tough game in Ottawa. There's no two ways about that. But again, you go back to that win in Peterborough on Thursday. A lot of positives to pull from that hockey game. They went 7 for 8 on the penalty kill and did a really good job doing it. So you try to pull that and keep that momentum going. And we're inside 25 games left here in this regular season. We're
flew by.
Yeah, we're coming down. There's still a lot of hockey left to be played, but we're coming down towards a push for the playoffs. And again, it's one small step at a time, but those pile up, and all of a sudden you find yourself in 7th, or again, like the goal, 6th place going into the postseason.
Huge opportunity for the Spirit coming up on Friday when they travel to Sarnia to take on the Sting. Talk to me kind of about that matchup and how the Spirit can just get another good chance to grab another 2 points.
Yeah, only played them once this year, so it's a little strange that it's a division rival. We played them 6 times and we've only seen them once to this point. Now they had their good fortune against the Sting in that game, But this is one where, Sarnia, a team below them in the standings, you're trying to pick up as much ground as possible. You've got a lot of games left against them, so you got to kind of make hay while the sun is shining, so to speak. This is an important game on the schedule for sure. They haven't been to Sarnia yet this year. It's been a bit of a mixed bag in that building over the last couple of years, so it's not a must-win game, but this is a winnable game for sure, and I know that they're going to put a lot into this one.
And then we mentioned this off camera actually. It was a bit of a hard road trip coming back here to Saginaw from their road trip. I mean, got home late. Laz actually gave the guys the day off. And talk to me right now when they get back on the ice and they're practicing again, just kind of like what you're thinking you're going to see out of these guys as they just trying to get back into swinging things and prepare for Friday.
Yeah, I think as time goes by, there's more and more belief, and guys are getting into kind of a routine. I mean, remember the trade deadline's always a shakeup for everybody. You're seeing. And I know we've talked about this in weeks past. We're a couple of weeks past the trade deadline now, but you're seeing friends go out the door and some new faces come in. So the question is, where does everybody fit in after that? How do things work? And I think they're starting to hit a stride that way. Again, Jacob Kluche and Carson Harmer, they're point-per-game players here coming out of the holiday break, and that's what this hockey team needs to wind up in a good playoff spot. So those guys are finding their way. The young guys are kind of putting the pieces together. Again, they've gotten real strong goaltending here over the last little while, and they've got one of the best, probably the best first line in the OHL in Nikita Klepov, Igor Barabanov, and Dima Zhilkin. So there's a lot of potential here for a good weekend against Sarnia and Barrie.
No doubt about it. And like you mentioned, Barrie, Saturday. It's been a while since Spirits fans have been able to come to the Dow Event Center to see their team in action, but they get the chance Saturday as the Spirit host Barrie. What can fans kind of expect for that game, and especially the team expect with the matchup against the Colts?
Well, I think it's, there's that feeling when you come home from any kind of long road trip. You walk in the front door and you just kind of go, I'm home. That's way better. So I think it's going to be kind of the same feeling, for fans coming back into the Dow Event Center. They're going to walk in, they're going to say, all right, we're home. And I know that's the feeling for this hockey team too. So I'm excited to see them step back onto the ice here at the Dow behind us coming up on Saturday. It's a Barrie team that they've beaten in overtime once. This is the last time they're going to see them this year. Really, really exciting overtime win. Needed some great goaltending in that game as well. A couple of months back at this point. Carson Harmer with the OT winner. So it's going to be another task. I mean, Barrie's a real strong playoff contender, a playoff team, I should say, out in the Eastern Conference. They've had some bumps in the last little bit, but things always have a way of getting a little bit nasty whenever you see the Eastern Conference teams, just because you don't see them very much. Then it's our first responders night coming up with Fisher Company on Saturday. So the first responders game at 4 o'clock prior to our game against Barrie. Your ticket to one gets you into both, so it's going to be a lot of hockey. We're making up for some lost hockey here at the Dow.
It's going to be exciting for sure, and of course, if fans are looking to come out to see that game against Barrie this Saturday, go to SaginawSpirit.com for all your ticket information. I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Spirit Spotlight. Appreciate it once again, Dylan, for joining me again. I'm Austin Sumwitz with WNEM TV5 Sports. This has been the Spirit Spotlight. Go Spirit.